Hey guys, it's been a while. Glad to be back. I know you guys know us from a lot of our Ford videos that we do. We've been actually working on some really cool stuff here in the shop lately. We actually have a 2020 GMC here in the shop, and we've been hard at work bringing some new products out for you guys. So if you got a 19 to 21 GMC product
or Silverado
GMC, covers all the brands, you might want to check this video out. We have a lot of cool things to offer. Check it out, guys. Hey everyone, this is Sage with Sounds Good Stereo here in Nashville, Tennessee. We've been doing a lot of cool stuff here in the shop, working on this 2020. Yeah, no, it's a 2020, not a 1920 GMC. Swing this around. It's a GMC Sierra AT4 truck. That's some. I know you guys have seen our sound treatment jobs before and block off plates. This is a different platform. We did some cool stuff to this one, and we're gonna go through everything that we did to this truck with you guys. We've got all types of stuff going on in here. This one we actually just did bass upgrade. We added a subwoofer. Got a ARC audio amplifier back up in here. Figure out how to use this GoPro, that would be kind of cool. ARC audio amplifier, amp rack, factory amp, power inverter, everything's here on the back wall. Have a subwoofer enclosure under here. Can't really see it right now, but we'll show you that, guys, that in a minute. Sorry, I'm tired, my back hurts, I'm old, but you know, whatever, have to keep on going and doing some cool stuff. So today I want to just go over with you guys what we've accomplished with this vehicle. You know, we've been concentrating on the F-150 platform, especially 13th gen. We do a lot of Raptors from all over, which is really fun. We've kind of done a bunch of different systems, a lot of cool systems, pillars, two-way systems, all kinds of different things. So I want to just take you guys on a little journey here and show you kind of what we've been working on. So we get a truck like that one over there, and we have a bunch of things to figure out to make your stereo install go a little bit easier. So we went on a task of developing all this stuff. You can see here on the table. This is over here. This is concept. This is where it all starts. Measuring, designing, cutting it out. See all these pieces of paper and random pieces of wood. More pieces of paper. Dash speaker, micrometers. We've done a little bit of upgrades here at the shop. First things first, we have a nice little laser cutter. And we also have a rack of wood. We also have a CNC machine. So we're able to be a little more precise with our manufacturing. Makes it easier on us with the demand. So some nice little upgrades here in the shop, which makes it's been interesting. It's a totally different approach than I'm used to. Usually I make everything by hand on the lonely router tables way back over there in the corner. This is the new tent, by the way. It's a little bit bigger. You know, you can fit a couple cars in here, a lot more tools, a lot more space, air conditioning, nice natural light. Got DJ over there, Demo Don, the man behind the computer, right? Anyway, I want to go through what we basically did. Is this truck came in and we needed to figure out, number one, the guy wanted a subwoofer system, so we had to design a subwoofer box. You can see that pile of wood right there. So subwoofer enclosure, we had to mount an amplifier in there, so we had to figure out, okay, where are we going to mount the amplifier? We don't want to, you know, stick it under the seat or screw it through the floor with drywall screws like we see all the time. That's no good. So we had to design an amp rack. We had to design a subwoofer enclosure. We had to design speaker adapters because your tweeter's not going to fit in that hole without, unless you want to use a back strap or something. We don't like to do that. So we have to design, so we basically take measurements from this, cut it out of poster board, cut it out of 1/8 inch MDF, and then we cut it out of acrylic. And then we make it for a bunch of different applications, different tweeters, actually. Not of different applications, but. And then we have this right here, block off plates. So this is part one of block off plates right here. You know what I don't like about this GoPro?
Screen goes off.
The screen goes off, and I think it cuts off. So this is, here Don, why don't you grab the camera? So this is actually the driver's side, rear. So basically what we do is we take some of this green, sticky, clear stuff, and we removed the factory piece, which I don't have. I would like to show you guys. DJ, can you grab that for me?
Absolutely, even 2 seconds.
So there's a piece of plastic stuff on the door that covers the access holes into the door to service like the window motor and locks and everything. It's just a basic thin piece of plastic type stuff. It's basically a weather barrier to keep out moisture from the inside of the door, because when it rains, window gets wet, water leaks down inside of there, and you need something to block that from getting into the interior of the vehicle. So they put a piece of plastic there. Well, home speakers are made out of solid wood. Subwoofer enclosures are made out of solid wood or acrylic or fiberglass, you know. Home speaker companies spend thousands of millions of dollars developing really high-end rigid enclosures. So why should we skimp in a vehicle? Why don't we make this door panel a really good speaker enclosure? You know, in this car right now, it's block off plates, factory speakers. Imagine that actually makes a huge difference just doing this with factory speakers. Well, you do new speakers in there. Let me see one of these, CJ. Thank you. So this is what you get from factory. It's we call it vapor paper, weather barrier. This mounts on the back. Pulled that off, and we're making block off plates for it. So, and I'll show you guys in a second. So we take all this apart. We make templates, draw out where the holes can go, because these actually screw onto the door. So you start out with this, and you take it into the computer, and you draw this, or actually, this is the way it actually went down. I said, these are where the holes need to be, and then I put it up to the door, and I was like, hole can't go there, hole can't go there, it needs to go there. So we make changes, and then we come to this final shape. We know it fits on the door, and then figure out which one of these it is. So then we manufacture it. We take that drawing, that design, and then we actually manufacture it on the CNC machine. So it lines up, it bolts. When you drill a hole to mount this, you're not going to drill through any wires in the vehicle. We made sure of that. It's actually a hole that's machined out of there to let the latch cable come through. Comes right there, comes through. You can still hook up the door. Door fits perfectly. So that's one of the things one of the things we did in this truck. So now we have a great speaker enclosure, right? We did some sound treatment. You guys see us do this all the time. Do our block off plates. Now we have a really cool, really rigid, strong, acoustically sound speaker cabinet, basically. Before we had just a basic plastic, a metal can with a plastic bag covering it, which is not a really good place for a speaker. So then next, okay, cool. So now we have this great cabinet for the speaker. Now we need to change the speakers. That's cool. Well, this is what you run into next. Let's unscrew that, clip that. So this is the factory rear speaker in this truck. Well, it's all one piece. It's all designed in one piece. It mounts in the vehicle with one screw, clips in at the bottom, mounts with one screw. Well, you buy a speaker, it's not going to just fit in here, right? You need some way to adapt it to the vehicle. So, let's walk back over here, Don. We're walking all over the place. So, speaker, actually I don't have any design things over here. Let's check it out over here. So what we need to do is we need to make an adapter. So we machine this out of 1-inch HDPE, solid plastic. Plastic, again, remember, doors get moisture inside, they get wet. So we make this out of HDPE. This is obviously waterproof and very rigid and dense. So once you mount the driver to here, it's a solid mounting platform. So you pop the OEM speaker out, and then this mounts right in place. Basically one screw there, and then you drill a couple holes down here, put some nuts and bolts through it, and you have a really nice speaker baffle to mount your new speaker in. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that in the next portion of this. So yeah, lots of different parts. It goes from concept. Well, basically we have to say, okay, what do we need to do? We need to change speakers, we need to mount an amplifier, we need to add a subwoofer, we need to get power, we need to get signal. There's a bunch of different things. And this whole table you can see, this is kind of the beginning of the journey right here. You see all these things that we cut out all in our design process. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 different concepts of, this is actually, I think, the final template of the amp rack. So all these different things, it goes from, you know, measuring, thinking how much equipment we need to mount back here. In our case, we only mounted one amplifier, but we wanted to design this so you could actually mount more than one amplifier back here. And we'll explain that here in a bit. So there's a lot of trial and error as far as, okay, we have a bunch of different options. As far as speakers, we want to be able to offer a bunch of different speakers. So we have, you know, 6.5, it's factory's a 6x9, so we offer us, it's basically 6x9 to 8-inch, 6x9 to 6.5, and 6x9 to 6x9 speaker adapter. And the 8-inch was definitely a challenge. This is actually a prototype made out of a different material that's easier to cut. We cut that by hand before we figured out exactly what to do. So concept, we basically come up with a list of everything that we need to do, design it all out, make prototypes, and then we can move over to actually what you see here on the table. This is all the parts that we made for this vehicle. So this, you know, block off plates, which I showed you guys here. This is a full set. It comes with, there's 4 pieces for the rear doors. These look like avocados, don't they? They're pretty funny. So we got 4 pieces for the back doors, hardware, 4 pieces for the front doors, all the necessary hardware. All this requires is an 1/8-inch drill bit and a number 2 Phillips. I recommend using a drill for that. We have all the different speaker adapters. I think we lost one of these messing around. I think we mounted a speaker in it, but we have 8-inch This 8-inch for the front, 6.5 for the front, 6x9 for the front, and 6.5 for the rear. And this is going to be sold. We always ship our kits with all the necessary mounting. It's going to come with nuts, bolts, washers for the bottom mounting, speaker gasket tape that you put between the speaker and here, so you want to make a good seal. It comes with all the necessary screws. We use these really nice coarse thread, Don calls them finger pokers. They're really sharp, nice screws. They actually will self-drill right into this HDPE plastic with no issues at all with a handheld, like cordless drill. So all the speaker adapters are shipped with necessary mounting hardware, and also, I don't have it on the table yet because we don't have them here. We sourced them already, but we'll have speaker plugs available with these speaker kits also. Then we have, these are actually black acrylic. I didn't pull we can maybe do this quick enough. So these are laser cut out of black acrylic. I'll pull that paper off of there. These are black acrylic. And right now we just cut these out of, for a bunch of, this fits this truck. I think it's actually 14 and up if I'm not mistaken. This will actually fit 14 and up. Same with all these speaker adapters, 14 and up GM. So last generation Chevy, all these speaker adapters fit as well. Also the dash speaker will fit too. This is basically a lot of the popular tweeters that we get calls for. I think this is the Audio Frog GB 1.5, Utopia, Kevlar, Flax, and normal K2 power, and also our ARC Audio RS. So, but we can make these for any tweeter or mid-range. I think it's a 2.7 inch overall diameter is the max size driver you can fit in there. So we have all the door block off plates, speaker mounting solutions, tweeter or mid-range mounting solutions if you have a small enough mid-range. Amp rack. Amp rack's really cool. It has a lot of holes in it because there's a lot of studs sticking out of the back of the wall of that truck and a lot of equipment mounted back there. I'll show you in the vehicle what we did. You can see this silver hardware that's mounted into this right now. This is actually where the factory equipment mounts back to. The inverter mounts here. The factory amplifier will mount over here. There's plenty of harnessing length back there. Really easy to unmount it, unsecure the factory harnessing, remount your equipment farther left and right. It was actually mounted here in the middle from factory. We moved it outboard left and right to give us some more real estate to mount some more amplifier products. This is actually where there's a flapper vents in the back wall of the truck. This is where the flap vents actually come through. So this is pretty much flush. Once this is installed, you could technically, like the factory amp mounts over top of that vent now. This mounts to the right of this, and you can mount an amplifier over this. So you can mount it here and come across and mount another amplifier here. So we came up with a bunch of different things. Yeah. So this will bolt into factory, all factory bolts. There's a module that bolts down here. There's a lot of studs that stick through, and you can put all the 10mm bolts back in, or you could cut some of them off if you wanted to and just leave a couple mounting points, and it'll mount securely back there so you can put more equipment. But that's up to you. So amp, speakers, block off plates, and we also traditionally in these Ford trucks, Chevy trucks, not Ford trucks, easy, sorry. I'm still in Fordville. Power for your amplifiers. In all these newer vehicles, we've been a big habit of running power and ground from the battery. So we have this full length, we call it full length because it's equal power and ground, runs front to back. This is a 4-gauge kit. It comes with everything, glands where the wires run through the truck. So that covers your power connection to your amplifier.
Yeah, we got that in 4-gauge and
4-gauge and 8-gauge, yes, exactly. And for now, this particular truck has a bow system in it, and it's very complicated to do a full upgrade in.
If you want to do a full upgrade in, we will be offering the nav TV interface for this truck, but right now it's chip shortage, can't get it, so there's not a lot of options. We weren't able to get our hands on it and test everything, but we do have a T-harness that plugs right into the back of the factory amplifier and gives you signal to our amplifier setup, especially the ARC Audio or Moscone setup that we do.
And if we do that with amplifier, we can set the amplifier up.
Yeah, so we have all the specifications. So if you guys ordered a subwoofer enclosure from us and an amp rack and amplifier, we can set the gains for you already.
Set everything on the amp.
We know how to set that so it works properly in the vehicle, the levels on the amplifier and all that stuff. And so it'll be basically a plug and play situation. You just have to run this power and ground to the battery. So this is all the parts we've developed as far as amplifier, speakers, block off plates. And then we have this this pile of wood right here. Looks like a pile of wood, right? It is. This is actually all the pieces for the enclosure that we built for this vehicle. It's 4 ARC Audio 8-inch subwoofers in a ported vented application. It gets down, hammers, it sounds good, tons of output, looks really good, and it fits under the seat real well. Spent quite a bit of time with a bunch of different designs, and we finally came up with something we liked. Fits well, looks good, and it hammers. And there'll be a lot of different options available for this too, not just 4 ARC Audio 8s. We can do quite a few different variations of this, different driver sizes and brands and different styles. So this is where it all started, from concept, design, and then you can see all the parts that we were able to put together for you guys for this truck. So, all right. So now I want to kind of go over installing the speaker adapter in the front door. I'm going to show you guys how to do that real quick. Take out the factory speaker and we'll install one of these adapters. They all mount the 8-inch, 6.5, and 6x9 front. They all mount exactly the same. It's the same exact bolt pattern. So I'll show you guys one and then you'll understand how it works on all of them. Okay guys, I'm going to show you now how to install one of our speaker adapters that we designed for this truck. This is a factory speaker, front speaker to 6.5 inch, which you can see we have a Focal K2 power mounted in there, fits perfectly. Also have the ARC RS, which is another great speaker. A couple different things here I'll show you guys. So this is the adapter. So what you'll need is obviously the hardware that comes with it, and you'll need a 7mm and a 3mm Allen key. Super basic stuff you can get at any hardware store. And cordless drill, 1/4 inch drill bit. That's all you need. And I forgot the most important thing. Some tape. You see why this is so important?
Yep.
It's the most important thing. Piece of tape. Put this back over here. I think I'm crazy, but the tape is the most important part of the job. And hopefully you have side steps so you can sit. You got to tape this out of your way. That's why you need tape. Get that out of your way, okay? Because it'll drive you crazy. What is this for?
To mark the holes.
Mark the holes. Okay. All right, so you can use a 8mm on a 7mm. Need a 7mm. So you need a 7mm. You can use a ratchet. 7mm, an 8mm. Cordless drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit. 3mm Allen key. Speaker adapter. And don't forget the tape. Tape the harness out of your way. Okay? Very important. So basically, to take the factory speaker out, I'm cheating. I'm using a drill. Take that 7mm out, set it aside because you'll need to use that again. And then this just pulls out. And every time you pull these out, the clip falls out of the back and falls into the door. So you want to get that out of there. You can put that back on there. You can set that aside. Set it on the floor. So, get in here, Don. Get a little bit closer. You can see there's a shape here. There's like an indention, right? You see that indention, guys? Let me pull the sound treatment back. There's an indention sticking out of the door. Kind of already cheated because we were prototyping here, but there's an indention. All right, so I showed you guys this little ridge outline of the door. Our speaker adapter base, this shape, matches up to this shape, right? So how to install it? Take your adapter, and main thing you have to understand is the way this mounts is you won't be able to have the speaker mounted in here first. It'll have to mount into the door, and then you can install your speaker. And another thing to do, you can see that we did sound treatment on this door. Normally we would sound treat completely behind here, but before you did your sound treatment, we would want you to go ahead and mount this. So you can see this ridge perfectly, and you can mount this in the right spot. And then once you get it all mounted and everything secure, you could take it off and sound treat the door, and then find your holes and mount it all back, and you'd have a nice sound treatment cushion behind the adapter. So what we do is just put your factory 7mm screw through the top, go ahead and line it up, and go ahead and mount it in place, right? Make sure it's lined up properly to that ridge, fits there nice. And then you take a 1/4" drill bit and you drill slowly. And a 1/4" drill bit there. And then repeat it on this side. So now you have 2 holes drilled down at the bottom to mount this, right? You got mounting point up top and 2 at the bottom. And then you take we supply this in the kit. It's a M5 stainless steel. Slide that through. Slide this through. Take these apart. Set the nuts to the side. So you do a washer in behind the head, bolt, stick it through there, and then you reach through here. Can't put the camera inside the door, guys, but you slide the washer on, and then you put your 8mm nut on the back. Put that one. Repeat it on this side. There's your nut on the back. Put your 8mm nut. And I take my trusty 8mm, and I have a 3mm. I like to use a ratchet because I can really tighten that up and do the same thing here. So you basically just tighten these up. Tighten up nice and firm, and your speaker adapter's mounted to the door. If you're not doing sound treatment, always recommend putting a foam gasket behind the speaker adapter. And then you'll take your speaker, right here, bam, 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 that's the speaker. Take your 6.5" mid-bass driver. This actually comes with a foam gasket already on the back of it, which is nice. And then you can mount your 6.5 inch speaker there. Perfect. And now you have a 6.5 in the front. And basically, so in the rear of the vehicle, it's the same exact steps, identical. So one screw at the top, it unclips, you line it up, drill your holes, same process in the rear. It's the same exact concept, just a different shape adapter. So now that this is here, I can actually go ahead and take this out real quick. Let me show you guys something. So, saw us install the 6.5 inch adapter bolted right up there. I also made this 8 inch adapter. This is a Utopia M8. It's test fit. It fits. The door actually goes back on, no problem. This actually mounts in the exact same way. It's the same bolt pattern. It was actually cut out for that speaker. So you'd do the same concept. The speaker would be out, mount it here, drill your holes, and you can see that.
And then the only big difference is you have a left and a right.
Yeah, exactly. So this will all line back up. Get it lined up in there. So these bolts will line back up. This factory bolt goes back up there, bam, bam. And yeah, just like Don just mentioned, this is the right side. You have to pay attention. We definitely need to mark this. The driver's actually shifted this way to the right when it's mounted. It's not perfectly centered, just because in this door it was getting real close right here, and we had to shift the driver over and build it out like this to fit. So it does fit. And most 8s should fit. You have to realize the Utopia M driver, yes, it's shallow, but it has a very square back, so it doesn't get narrow real fast. It has a pretty wide frame, so we didn't test any other 8s. I know the Focal Integration 8 will fit. There's a couple, definitely a lot more 8s that will fit in this vehicle, but mounts right in there, door fits no problem. And I would recommend doing a sound wave ring or a foam gasket to seal the front of the driver to the door, which we'll also have right now, but we're actually out of them right now. So that's how you install any of our adapters, the 6x9 to 6x9, 8 inch to 6x9, and 6.5 to 6x9, all the same. These, you just line them up, make sure they're covering the hole, and you pre-drill and screw these to the door. We always recommend doing these with sound treatment. If not, you'll have to get some type of gasket tape and put them behind and mount them to the door, but this is definitely the way to go. So that's it for the door speaker install. And you can see this, we can actually, since this we're leaving the factory speakers in, we can actually plug this back in. Plug that back in and make sure this clip is right. And we'll go ahead and mount that back in there. So it's completely reversible. You can take it out and put it right back to factory. So that's that. 1, 2, 3. I don't fit in here.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Okay, so we covered all the speakers and the doors. Now we have the dash speaker, which is a little tricky to get apart, but it's not that bad. You guys can figure it out. There's lots of cool YouTube videos out there on how to take these trucks apart, or you can call it DJ. Anyway, so this is the factory speaker, little Bose. We call it a middler. It's a mid-range tweeter all in one. It mounts up here in the dash location.
Just put it, put it in there.
Put it back in there.
Yeah, so you can see how it sits back there.
Okay, so it sits in there like that from factory. It has two 7mm screws, bolt screws, and need a little tool to get those out. Ratchet, extension, couple things. So you can unplug that, take it out, unplug it, and then we make a adapter. This actually has an ARC RS 1.0 tweeter mounted in it. Black acrylic. I'll go ahead and put that in there. It fits exactly the same way the factory one did. That'll pop right in there, and you can put the screws. I'll put them in there with my fingers, Don, so you can show these guys. It actually mounts. You can't really get to that one. You need a ratchet or something. Alright, I don't have them all the way down, but you can see those screws line back up. And you can replace your dash driver with a tweeter or a mid-range or whatever you want to do.
Simple.
We have the parts.
Awesome.
And we're working on getting the plugs for you guys.
Be nice.
It'll be nice.
Yeah.
A lot of times you won't use, unless you're just replacing factory speakers, you actually won't use this plug. You would end up doing a crossover or running it directly to your amplifier. So
Got it.
it's not the end of the world. The door will definitely have a harness available for you guys, so it's plug and play. And that's it for the speakers. And let me show you guys some other cool stuff. All right, guys, this is the back of this GMC truck with the back seat removed. And you can see we have a ARC Audio 1100.1 installed back here on one of our amp racks that we designed. And you can see how we were talking about previously on mounting the equipment in here. We have the factory amplifier, which we supply you with the proper hardware to mount it back on the amplifier rack, and also the proper hardware to mount the inverter to the amplifier rack. I'm not sure yet, but you definitely need to sound treat this back wall before installing this amp rack back here. It's very, it's pretty flimsy. If you just install the amp rack right to plastic to metal, it will probably rattle. So we definitely recommend getting some sound treatment and putting it between the back wall and the amp rack before mounting it. You can see, I don't know if you can zoom in over here, Don. There's also a module. Everything's pretty self-explanatory. This is actually exactly where it mounts from factory, so this will go exactly back in its same position. This actually gets rerouted. This piece is actually mounted here, and this amp is actually mounted the other way and mounted to these bolts here. Same with this. This is mounted over here. So we move all this around, and we're able to mount an amplifier, which in this one we did the ARC 1101 powering our subwoofer enclosure that we built. So like I said previously, you can also, if you wanted to mount more equipment back here, you could actually remove some of these studs. We didn't do that in this particular truck because we didn't need to, but you could remove a couple to gain some more space. And you can actually, you can mount an amplifier right here next to this. You can mount another one here over top of this flap vent, which is not a problem as long as it doesn't, you know, the seat belt can still operate. We actually tried it out and it works great. So this is the amp rack. A lot of, your imagination can go wild and you can figure out a bunch of different things to do back here. One thing to note, which we'll probably put in the description on the website, is mounting. You don't want anything to stick out past the depth of this inverter right here. So you can't mount an amplifier out 6 inches. It needs to stay within the depth of this. So that's what we have for the amp rack. It's basically you unbolt everything. This bolts back up in place. The studs go through the board and use the same exact bolts that are back here to mount it back in place. So that's super simple. So that's the amp rack. All right, so we went over all the different products that we're making for this vehicle: amp rack, speaker adapters, door block off plates, and all that fun stuff. Now we got to my favorite part, the subwoofer enclosure. This is a 2.5 cubic foot vented enclosure with 4 ARC Audio 8 ARC series 8-inch subwoofers mounted, I think, pretty damn perfectly underneath this seat. Nice and flush, doesn't protrude anywhere. Corners are 45'd to match the seat, and I'll show you the side profile of it too. It fits well underneath the seat, looking from all sides. This enclosure actually is vented out the back. It's traditionally how we design these things, so you don't really see anything from the sides. It's pretty stealth. Open the back door, you can't really tell that anything's here. This is an AT4 edition, so we did an AT4 badge in the middle. Customer wanted some lights, so we'll show you that in a second. We did some nice red lighting on this thing. Fit and finish is great. Another thing, you know, this is one of the designs we created, the first design we created with the airspace that we had. We decided to go with 4/8, traditionally what we like. We'll be able to do a bunch of different options for you guys as far as woofer configurations. We'll sit down now that we have the design figured out and airspace, then we can come up with some really nice performing subwoofer options for you guys. So yeah, that's it. It fits underneath the chair. It's carpeted on the top and back and bottom, and vinyl wrapped all the way around. And yeah, that's it. Fits in here perfectly. Looks great. Tell us what you guys think.
You got a solid profile.
You can see, guys, how it fits underneath the chair. Kind of flows real nice. I can turn on some lights for you guys so you can see. This customer wanted lights. So it's very muted and chill right now, and then when you turn on the LEDs under here, it gets nice and bright. Excuse the door chime. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in and watching us. Appreciate it. Sorry for slacking. We haven't been doing a lot of videos lately. I've been very busy. You can see I showed you guys previously our new toys, so we've been playing with our new toys, staying busy, designing new product. We're really excited about the Chevy product. Give some Chevy guys some love. Finally, we're able to get the truck in here and build some cool stuff and offer you guys some really cool solutions. What else do you want to talk about?
That's it.
Subscribe, like us, ring the bell, do the doorknob, all that good stuff.
All this stuff will be on the website by the time this video goes live.
Another thing, guys, all this stuff is on the website for sale. If you have any questions, give us a call. If you can't find something, give us a call. If you have questions, if you have an idea for us, give us a call. We want to hear from you guys. If you guys need something else for this truck that you didn't see, reach out, talk to us.
Yep.
Tell us what's going on. We want to help you guys.
Yep.
Thanks again.
Till next time.
Till next time.